Greetings to one and all, it's your old buddy Jay here, coming at you with another episode of Countermeasures. I'm back in the drawing room, trying to keep these weekly. There's a nice close-up of my hands covered in whiteout. Getting to see the camera a little bit today, the Brio 4K that keeps going out of focus. See if we can nail that a bit today, even as I'm saying it's going out of focus, so let's see how we get on with that. Hope you've all had a lovely week. I'm wearing my Alan Moore t-shirt, obviously, no particular reason other than I've been I've been down an Alan Moore rabbit hole, which sounds more disgusting than it should. I've been watching a lot of videos of Alan Moore's interviews on YouTube, particularly the ones where they're launching a library in Northampton. I'll put the links in the description. It's a very good one actually, because it's one of the rare occasions where he actually genuinely talks about life before 2000 AD, his involvement with 2000 AD, and then also moving forward into being part of the British invasion in America. And he has spoken about it before, but on that particular broadcast he does go into a few things that he's not really spoken about previously, which I quite enjoyed. Anyway, I'm going to go through this week's comics shortly, and then I've got a little illustration thing to kind of follow up the end of the video, which have been getting some quite good responses, so I'm going to continue doing that. I have a mountain of work to get done. All my deadlines appear to be November, although I do have one in June. There's just a stack of inking and colouring that I need to get done, but you know what, it's all going to be okay. I've got a good feeling about it. So before I get into this week's comics, I'm going to go through the usual shill. Sorry, I've just got to do it. Beyond the Black Void is available now and slightly out of focus. It is a 76-page anthology, which I have done some of the illustration, contributed towards the writing. I put together this book with a gaggle of other creatives who are all far more talented than I, but you know, it's good to ride on the coattails of those people, and they have actually put together a pretty legit book here, which I'm really proud of. One of the best things that I've done to date. We have a volume 2 coming out later this year, which we're all avidly working away on at the moment. Things that have happened with this recently, we are in Waterstones, we are in Cosmic Comics, we did have a whole load in Gosh. At one point they may have been in the sale bin, but we don't talk about that. I think they only wanted 5 copies. I think I dropped off like 15. I think they sold up 10 and then they just they got rid of the rest. But there were signed copies there, so it was quite good that they went, and gosh, we're happy. Hopefully they're going to stock us on volume 2. I'm working on that at the moment. What else has happened on this week? Oh, so this week we also managed to get some issues of this into Piranha Comics, which is a store in South London and also in Bromley. So Kingston and Bromley stores now stocking these. They're sort of seeing how the sales go and potentially would like some more. So they seem to be the kind of company that we like, which are companies that support smaller press and indie creators. They're starting to build out a little bit more of that in their stores, and this is part of that, which I'm very proud of. And also we're also in Kent Comics, which I'd never been to before, which is in Orpington, and they sort of function from this kind of little wartime shed, which is just brilliant, and it's full of all back issues, and they very kindly also took on some of these. You know, the thing with these is, like, some shops like Gosh, they will buy your comic and then they'll sell it for whatever, and that's how they make their money. So you get like a check up front for 100 quid or 50 quid or whatever for however many issues, and then they sell it and they make that money back, and then on top. With other comic book shops such as Cosmic Comics, etc., they do on a more of a kind of sale and return, which is if they sell them, they just split everything with you. If they don't sell them, then you can either have them back, or more likely they will just keep them, and eventually they'll sort of run out, and if they want to restock they can, if they don't they don't, whatever. I mean, this was only ever meant to be like a kind of glamorous glorified business card, which we could take back to the Thought Bubble in Harrogate last year, and actually it's ended up becoming this whole other thing where I kind of thought, oh, we'll be one and done on that, and actually now we're doing the second volume, and we've got some new artists joining us and new writers joining us, which has just been excellent. So I think at the moment volume 2 is looking around the kind of 110, 120 page mark. So it's going to be almost twice the size by the time we're finished. Very excited for that. I'm working on that at the moment. So that is Beyond the Black Void. The other thing, just toss it in the bin. The other thing we've got going on is issue 1 and 2 of Pugs in Space are currently available. Oh, by the way, Beyond the Black Void and these books, in fact any Jack Rabbit books, you can get from jackrabbitcomics.com. You can also get them through Waterstones, in some stores but predominantly online, and then also you can get them from Foils now. We're now on the online store for Foils, and I'm in discussions with a Diamond distributor at the moment, which would be really great to get involved with those guys, because they have a much wider reach. They distribute to like 3,000 to 4,000 different comic stores across the world, and potentially we could be involved with that. And not even no one gets into this business to make money. If they sell a few, then great. Really, it's about getting our stuff out there, and Skipper Whiskers is also on that list, also available from those places. Again, another kind of concept book that I did last year, which was really just my exploration into learning how to use dip pens, that then became this book, and my kids are on the back. Anyway, we don't talk about that because copyright laws, I don't know, child labour laws. The other thing that happened this week, finally, and look how shiny it is, I managed to get a copy of The Night Shift, which is written by Ryan Twyford. He's the guy that I worked with on our story in Beyond the Black Void, and also he put this together with Luke Horseman, who obviously, as you can see, is a particularly talented artist. I think he predominantly works in digital. I tend to shy away from that a little bit, but if I do like digital, or get into any kind of digital art, it's exactly this style. It's that kind of, there's some brilliant cartooning in here, like the characters' faces, the attitudes of the people, the conversations, the just the kind of the relation, the kind of body language of some of these illustrations. Just really creative, really fun, and excellent digital colouring as well, by the way. Something which I'm not a huge fan of, and if you've listened to any of my previous episodes, which 3 of you may have done, you'll know that I'm not really mad about that. However, this is particularly well coloured, and also great to see Ryan's work come to life. I know he put a lot of time and effort into this. Took a minute to get a copy. I think maybe I wasn't on the delivery list. I only got mine this week. I think it came out a while ago. Anyway, I know they were for sale in Gosh, and they are on Ryan's store, which I will put in the links below. But look, because I was part of the Kickstarter, I've got all these cool things. Look, not only did I get a second cool variant cover, I also got these stickers, which I'm going to stick in my house and annoy my wife, and these very cool art prints, which I love. I actually really love this. There's something very kind of 80s D&AD about it that I really like. Anyway, great story, really well written, excellent art. What more can you ask for? Yeah, I will put the link in below for that, because obviously Ryan is also attending some other events this year, and I'll just put all the bump in below because I don't have that to hand right now. But yeah, you should definitely check that out. So on to this week's comics. Oh my gosh, there's a stack here. I'll whiz through them super quick because I don't want to keep you longer than I have to, and quite frankly, there's comics to draw. Right, so, and you know what, I'm just going to stack them up and reel them off. Last week I didn't go through Batman The Dark Knight Returns issue 1. They are reprinting these at the moment. This is the facsimile edition. What I love about these is that I do have an original set of these, and I have the collected works several times over, all of which are completely battered and in various states of disrepair. I don't want to keep getting them out of their shells to use for reference, etc., etc. So these facsimile editions are really excellent because they also have all the original ads in them. They have the original pagination, so if there's any change in the graphic novel versions or the complete collections, sometimes the pages switch depending on the ads being taken out or any pin-ups that might be taken out. This has all the original page order, which is how it was intended to be read, so that's always worth getting hold of. That's issue 1. There's issue 2 here as well, actually, which just came out. I think they're doing these weekly, because I only just picked up issue 1 the other week, and then this was out this week as well, so hopefully issue 3 next week as well. And I'm probably going to do a deep dive in Batman at some point. G.I. Joe 24. I do have all the collected G.I. Joe, the complete G.I. Joes that have just come out from Image, which are brilliant, by the way. I love those books. There's 2 compendiums. There's a 3rd one coming out. I've hardly started reading them. I read like the first 20 issues. This is issue 24. They keep doing like random reprints of favourite issues. I just picked that up anyway. Red Room, that's just something that I'm reading that just happened to be in my pile here. Ed Piskor, R.I.P. That's a really good read. Red Room. Midnight Man, I just like the cover. I have no idea what this is going to be about. Skin Breakers, I still haven't really got much into this. I haven't picked up, well, I've picked up the other 6 issues. I haven't read any of them yet, but when I do, I will get back to that. The Punisher, Escape from Skull Island. Again, big fan of Simon Furman, so again, they're just sitting on my shelves waiting to be read. Wonder Woman 18, fantastic, absolute, that's one of the best. The big one this week is the Spider-Man and Superman crossover. I opted for the DNA cover. I like the flat blue on this. Yeah. Jorge Jimenez, which I never say right, but he's the guy that's been doing a lot of really good Batman stuff recently. He seems to be a bit of an industry favourite. He has a particular style that I like. There's something a little bit manga about it, which also appeals to me. Colouring's obviously great. This book is massive. I mean, it's huge. Is this a split story? Let's just continue. Yeah, okay. So they've got World's Finest, and yeah. So there's just a crossover there. Superman. Interesting. Anyway, I have no idea what the story is about. I tend to find with these things that the story's less appealing to me than the art. Everybody starts in the same place. They end in the same place. You know, if Spider-Man loses a leg, he should not have a leg anymore, forever or evermore. So we've got Wolverine, Weapons of Armageddon. This is something that I picked up the other week, also very well written. Although they do keep digging out this character, which is a Frank Miller original, I believe. Whenever they want to sort of say, oh, remember this. Art looks good. Chip Zdarsky, he's the man. Void Rivals, I keep picking this up. I haven't read the last 8 issues. I also got the Superman, and Spider-Man blank cover. So at some point I might do a drawing on that. I saw this as well, which actually was the most intriguing book of the week, because I missed issue 1. In fact, I don't even think there was an issue 1 in my local comic book store, which is Cosmic Comics. Shout out. The Florida Hippopotamus Cocaine Massacre, which, I mean, the cartooning in it is just excellent. Just looks really fun. I like the flat colour. Again, not a huge fan of digital colouring. This is another example where it works really, really well. Just really good balance of colours. We'll talk about the rules of 3 at some point. Not today, but yes. Mad Cave, who is the second time this week that they've kind of popped up on my radar. I was speaking to a chap earlier this week, and Ryan also saying that maybe, you know, people that are self-publishing, maybe Mad Cave is quite a good place to approach. They seem to be doing some quite interesting stuff. This all looks great. I have no idea what the story is about. I'm assuming a Florida hippopotamus, cocaine, and a massacre, but TBC. Now, 2000 AD, I still keep buying it. It is actually, weirdly, it has been getting better. And I don't want to say that in a derogative way, because obviously it's been going for a very long time, and there are some brilliant things in it. Where's my nemesis, the Warlock? Where's Slane? Slanya? Slan? However you want to say it. Slan. Where are they? Why am I reading Brink? Why? Where's Strontium Dog? Where's Rogue Trooper? This is particularly good Future Shocks. I would say it's probably one of the best that's been in for a very long time. John McCrae, he's also the man. I love this pen and ink work. Also, I noticed last month that there was some swearing. This month, naked lady. What is going on with the world? Maybe they're pushing boundaries again. Who knows? Anyway, be good to work for these guys one day. Who knows? maybe one day, maybe the dream will come alive. Now, those are all the comics for this week. That's everything that I've bought. I haven't read any of them. Looking forward to getting into them. The most interesting one is the Hippopotamus Cocaine Massacre. That's the one that I'm looking forward to getting into. I have nothing else to shill except, oh wait, there is one more thing that I did print off. So again, a bit more shilling. So we do have Beyond the Black Void Volume 2 coming out later in November. That's going up for pre-order soon. There's a spin-off series called VoidTails. We have 3 covers potentially that I'm working on for that. It's essentially, I think we got it down to a 40-pager. It's an all-encompassing story. There is no continuation, or maybe there'll be future stories using the same character, but the story starts and ends in this issue. That will also be available from November. I'm working on that. We are going to do Free Comic Book Day this year. That's something that I've been working on. Something that I think is a good way to... Firstly, people should have free comics. I think everyone should have free comics. Secondly, it's a good marketing tactic in order to get these into the hands of people that maybe wouldn't necessarily pick up an issue of Pugs in Space or pick up an issue of Skipper Whiskers. So this one is essentially like a chopped down version of my artwork in a 32-pager. And then this is going to be a double ender, which will be a flipped comic, which has the first 15 pages of each book and then if you like that, obviously there'll be information on how to kind of buy that or subscribe to it, etc., etc. in the magazine. I think they're good marketing ploys for people. It's interesting to see how effective they can be. I think from a marketing point of view, I don't necessarily know if DC and Marvel need to do it. I like the idea that maybe if they're trying to push some new titles, then it's a really good vehicle to do that. For me, as a self-publisher and a owner of Jackrabbit Publishing, I think it's a really valuable resource to be able to get some of our work out there. And we're in discussion with Diamond at the moment about potentially getting in with them so that they can then roll this out in their monthly catalogues, which would be amazing. No one's in it to make any money. I just want to get some work out there. I want to build a portfolio of work. Everything I've been doing in the last 2 years has been fattening my portfolio to the point where getting this stuff out there, getting a little bit of feedback on what's working and what isn't, it's just really, really valuable at this point. Anyway, those things are all happening. This is May 2nd, I think, and then these books will be later in the year in November. That's everything. It's just one big advertisement. There's going to be some illustration now. I can't even remember which one I'm about to do. That's how exciting it is. Whatever it is, I hope you enjoy it. Thanks very much for watching, and I do appreciate people tuning in and watching these videos. Again, views are varied. Sometimes no views. Sometimes 100 views. I am at the mercy of the YouTube algorithm. Rarely does it roll into the thousands, but I mean, it's a grown man talking about comics. What do you expect? Right, until next week, be good, stay safe, and be kind to one another. Peace out. We gone. Ow, ow.